Let's start with something most people don't say out loud. There are people who work less than you, take fewer risks, have fewer responsibilities, and still they seem to move forward financially. Meanwhile, you might be doing everything right, working consistently, trying to improve, looking for better opportunities, and yet, when it comes to building real wealth, something doesn't click. It's not just slow progress, it feels like resistance, like there's a limit you can't seem to break through. And after a while, it raises a difficult question. What is actually holding me back? Most answers you'll hear focus on the surface. They'll say it's your strategy, your discipline, your level of effort. And while those things matter, they don't explain everything. Because if they did, everyone who works hard and follows good advice would eventually build wealth. But that's not what happens. So there has to be something deeper, something less obvious. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. The real reason many people feel blocked from wealth is not a lack of opportunity. It's a mismatch between what they want and what they're internally prepared to handle. Wealth is not just money. It's a change in identity, a change in responsibility, a change in how you relate to the world. And if part of you is not aligned with that change, you will resist it, even if consciously you think you want it. This resistance doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't announce itself. It shows up in small, everyday decisions. Hesitating when you should act, avoiding calculated risks, overanalyzing simple opportunities, choosing what feels familiar instead of what creates growth. Individually, these moments seem insignificant, but over time, they create a pattern, and that pattern becomes your financial reality. Now think about this. Have you ever noticed how certain income levels feel normal to you? There's usually a range where things feel stable, where you know how to operate, where your lifestyle decisions and expectations feel predictable. But when you start moving beyond that range, something shifts. You might feel pressure, doubt, even subtle anxiety. Not because something is wrong, but because you're entering unfamiliar territory, and your mind is designed to pull you back to what feels known. This is often called a financial comfort zone. But it's not just about comfort. It's about identity. If you've spent years seeing yourself a certain way, earning a certain amount, living within a certain structure, then suddenly stepping beyond that requires more than effort. It requires a shift in how you see yourself. And that's where most people get stuck. They try to change results without changing the internal framework that produces those results. So they push harder. They try new strategies. They stay motivated for a while. But eventually, they fall back into the same patterns, not because they're incapable, but because their internal baseline hasn't changed. Here's another layer to this. Wealth introduces complexity, more decisions, more visibility, more responsibility. And depending on your past experiences, that can feel heavy. If you've associated money with stress, conflict, or instability, then building wealth doesn't just represent crisis. It represents pressure, and your system will try to avoid that, not consciously. But through subtle behaviors, you might delay important decisions, avoid scaling opportunities, stay in situations that feel safe but limit growth. From the outside, it looks like hesitation. From the inside, it feels like uncertainty. But underneath, it's a form of protection. Protection from stepping into something that doesn't feel fully safe yet. This is why simply wanting more money isn't enough, because your actions are not driven only by what you want. They're driven by what feels acceptable, what feels manageable, what feels aligned with your current identity. So if wealth feels distant, unstable, or even slightly uncomfortable, you will unconsciously keep it at a distance. And this is where many people get frustrated. They think, I'm doing everything I can. I'm trying. Why is this not working? But the issue isn't effort. It's alignment. Alignment between your external actions and your internal state. When those two are out of sync, progress becomes inconsistent. You move forward, then pull back. You gain, then lose. You start, then stop. And over time, it creates the feeling of being stuck. Now, this doesn't mean you need to completely change who you are. It means you need to become aware of what's already influencing you. Because once you see the pattern, you can begin to question it. Instead of reacting automatically, you start noticing your tendencies. why you hesitate, why you avoid certain decisions, why some opportunities feel off, even when they make sense. And that awareness creates space to respond differently. This is where real change begins. Not with a new tactic, not with more effort, but with a deeper understanding of what's driving your behavior. Because when your internal state starts to align with your goals, your actions become more consistent, your decisions become clearer, your tolerance for growth increases, and wealth stops feeling like something distant or unstable and starts feeling like something you can actually sustain. That's the shift most people miss. They focus on how to get more without understanding what's keeping them where they are. So if you've been feeling blocked, if it seems like no matter what you do, something holds you back, it might not be about doing more. It might be about seeing what's already there and finally understanding it. If this perspective made you look at your situation differently, subscribe to the channel. Because in the next videos, we're going to break this down even further in a practical way you can actually apply. And if you want to explore this idea in more depth right now, there's a resource linked in the description and in the first pinned comment. It expands on the structure behind what we talked about today and helps you understand how these internal patterns shape your financial reality over time. Take a look when you're ready, and I'll see you in the next video.